Hello and welcome to the Flock Hosting Update for September 2018. Getting my notes and everything all organized here. It's been a while. The last recording was a couple months back. We had the post, which basically this is going to become a quarterly thing. So this might be a little bit longer than the usual 10 minutes, but at the same time, I'm going to try to keep that around there just for simplicity of simplicity. Your time is important and valuable, as is mine. Let's not waste each other's time. Let's get right to it and just kind of go over some things that have been going on. First and foremost, the one that I'm going to start this off with is something that some of you have been asking for a long time, and I'm hoping that if you haven't seen the post already, I will link to it as well in the show notes. But there is a new feature when you log into secure.flockhosting.com, which is called Unblock Ip Address. It is a very handy, it is a very dandy, it is a very fantastical application, which works great with the new billing system, etc. There's been some updates there. But basically, you just click on the support tab. I'm watching the post right here myself. The support tab. It will the first be item on there. You can say Unblock Ip Address. You can plug in your IP address, which will be auto-filled. No more having to look it up. I still will ask for that on occasion. So again, if you ever need to find your IP, flockhosting.com/IP. But this will take and allow you to, if you've set it up a new account for someone in the office, if you're setting up someone's stuff and just something just keeps going wrong, you keep trying to log into cPanel, it's doing that dreaded password incorrect because it's keeping that extra white space at the end of the email and you're not getting in. Whatever the case may be, if you were getting blocked, you can easily use this tool. It will unblock it from any of the servers that are part of your account. So if you have an account on Grace, anything, any account, Grace, Flock Hosting stuff, Lily, you name it, Fellowship, Church, Matthew, some of the ones I can't talk about just yet until we get further down in the show notes. But if you get to any of them, you can actually take an unblock and we'll unblock your IP address from each of them. You don't have to open a ticket. It does have some limitations to it. If you do it too frequently or having too many problems, it will prevent you from doing it for another hour. But if you're at that point, you're having that much problems, please reach out to me. I am here to help you guys. It's not something that's a hassle to me. Sometimes I can see more of what's going on, and while you may be sitting here going, I've got my iPad set up, it's synced to your computer and something didn't sync correctly, whatever the case may be, reach out to me. I'm here to help. Moving on, hardware and software. We just had a big thing about church hosting, and we'll get to that here in a second. But it's been one of those things where you kind of take a big inventory of what's going on. And Flock Hosting has had a number of servers over the years. One point we had half a dozen so that were just filled out and very thin and very just across the board. But things have kind of concise. We've got stronger hardware, SSD drives, that type of thing, which make it a lot easier to work off of a smaller number of servers. That has been something that with church hosting having some issues, I really dug into and started looking at things and seeing what we can possibly do better. To that end, we've got a few things coming up. First and foremost is the backup system. The backup system, we had some just timeout issues, some connectivity issues that were causing some problems here and there. And that's not good. I need you guys to be able to have access to clean, concise backups that work, not timeout, error, cannot connect, that type of thing. Or even in the one case, one server wasn't backing up and it wasn't giving me an error because it was connected and moving at the speed of molasses on a cold winter's day. So that's very slow. So it's one of those things that I want to make improvements on. Now, some of you guys might have seen some of the posts in the past about reviewing the backup system, doing stuff like that, and that's definitely something that's been a benefit. But I still want to continue to enhance. So to that end, I've already brought on 2 new backup servers. There's a third on the way, and quite possibly a fourth, as we continue to see how things level out and how storage is distributed throughout. Because some of the things I've been doing as well within this, which another part of the thing I'm talking about later, but is an audit, is to go through and check accounts. And that's going to be something that's going to affect that as well. If we find out we've got 200 dead accounts on there, we can free up a lot of space and there's no other problems. But as a lot of you guys use some big storage, and again, you're allotted that storage, so it needs to be able to back up to that. And we have equivalent storage, but the problem is that when it freaked out and had errors, that's where the audit needs to come in, because we've got problems where it doesn't know it backed up, and yet it did. So doing some audited backup systems is going to clean things up a lot. So you're not going to see any changes. It's going to continue to work fine for you, but that's the thing I'm letting you guys know on. There is changes going on to reaffirm and restructure things to make sure that you guys know that you are backed up, you guys are secure, and 2, looking at also utilities for backing up server images to where instant redeploys are a possibility. That's something I'm still kind of tinkering with, just because the cost involved with redeploying quickly in an instance like that is somewhat astronomical at times. So looking for an affordable route to do that gives a good balance of cost effectiveness as well as a benefit to you guys should something happen. Next on the list, software enhancement. Some of you guys are web developers and you've asked about things like Node.js, Python, different things like different PHP versions. And while PHP we support all the way back to PHP 4, all the way through 7.1, Python and Node.js have been one of those ones that's kind of like, yeah, we can tweak it, we can make it work. Well, I'm happy to announce that slowly rolling out to all servers, Node.js and Python will both have, similar to the PHP selector, not the one built in, the multi-PHP, but the PHP selector, which is from Cloud Linux. We're deploying that across the board to where you can actually choose the version of Node.js you want to run and deploy it, and it will be compatible on all servers. And that's something I'm looking forward to. It's actually been deployed on the church hosting servers as part of the redeploy, because I figured, why come back later and do extra work when I can do it all right now? So those are actively available. They may not be enabled per your account yet, but the functionality is built in already. So that's going to be coming soon to the stuff before, my hope, before the end of 2018, or at the least very beginning of 2019 as a fleet-wide service. There is going to be some big changes too across the board as we're reaching the end of life of operating systems and control panel versions and everything else. cPanel has got stuff where it's requiring newer versions, which are not easy upgrades. So there's going to be, similar to what we just recently did with Fellowship, moving from one machine to another, really just kind of making it as painless as possible, and make it to where you guys have the latest, the greatest, the most secure, the most stable, and the best performance that I can provide. So that is going to come. It is going to provide a new network. I'm really loving the new system and the new company we've been working with. We've made these moves over the years, and you say, oh, well, why can't we just, you know what, companies change. We've went to one where it was the cat's meow, and then, we had massive power issues. We went to another one where the network was fantastic, and then 6 months in, the company got bought out before we knew about it, and they changed out networks, and we got slowdowns. So working again to try to find a good balance, trying to find a good network center where, again, just build this out to make sure that you guys are running on the best, you're most up-to-date, most secure, most safe, etc. And we're going to work on making sure things like two-form authentication. If you guys are not already on the two-form authentication, I definitely recommend you checking out Authy. If you are really hardcore secure, the one thing I would recommend is a YubiKey. It runs about $40. If you notice, it looks kind of like it's a USB. It is. It generates a one-time password, and it makes things really secure, and I'm looking to deploy that into cPanel, so where you guys can actually make sure that your account has an extra layer of security when you log into cPanel. So if someone guesses your password, they would need this hardware key physically with them to access it. That can create some complications, but again, we live in a very age where, again, people can get in, do some major damage. I want to make sure you guys at least have the options and opportunities to make sure you're secured. So again, we'll cover this probably more down the line. It's not something that's going to happen tomorrow. Probably first quarter of 2019, looking at that as a big enhancement, so stay tuned for that. We have a status page, status.flockhosting.com. The status page gives you guys a rundown of the servers, their current status, simply of if it can reach the web server by pinging it or attaching to Apache and touching the web server and saying, hey, are you alive? This has been great. It does provide a lot of good metrics in the realm of how quickly the web server is responding from the location they tested from, but it doesn't give me a lot of flexibility. So to that end, I've been evaluating a number of services to take and continue to monitor and further track on top of Uptime Robot and all these different services. Now, the status page with the Uptime Robot is not going away anytime soon. There may be an alternative page, which I may release, but some of these metrics are going to be really at some level just for my overview, a better glimpse of what's going on in the network. And I'm really looking forward to that, because even the alerting is giving me more options to use additional applications, additional methods of reaching me, and also to take and alert other people. I have some other people who do some odds and ends helping me out here and there. So to be able to say, hey, I'm stuck in traffic and I can't get my phone to have enough internet access, I see we're down, they've already got the notification and they can possibly do something to help. So definitely some good things for uptime, and definitely some things will help with just restructuring the hardware and software that powers flock hosting. Church hosting is a big one. It's been one that we've had a crazy couple of weeks. A number of huge outages across the board, as well as just really targeting Fellowship. There was a number of sites on there that were just getting hammered, and it was causing site further diagnosis as I've been going over the post-mortem of that old server, starting to get ready to shut it down, finding that the hard drives are actually physically damaged. So far, in tracking the detailed report, it claims that there are 8 irreparable sectors in the drive. So that could also have been contributing to some of the errors we saw. While they weren't causing logged issues, still, if you go to write a piece of data and it just keeps having to jump over it, creating an additional system load, which really isn't needed and causes issue. So thankfully, with Fellowship on new hardware, running smoothly, looking good, it's going to be but more of a smoother ride moving forward. But I do want to move Church because it utilizes some of that same hardware, and I've already done the test on it. It has similar damage. I want to make sure that we're moved, everybody's secure. So there'll be notes on upcoming migrations, basically moving from one piece of hardware to another. Again, these will be as pain-free as possible. If you are using your own DNS, this is one of the biggest hangups, and I'm not saying that to put you down. I understand you guys have reasons for using your own DNS, and it's not a thing of an issue, but I just can't easily track that. So if you are watching this and you see this, please understand there's going to likely be some modifications to your IP address that we're going to need to take and adjust to make sure that we're on a stronger network, a stronger piece of hardware, etc. So just like the church hosting one, I'm going to post notes. There'll be updates on what we're going to do for Church, for Lily, for Grace, for Matthew, for John. Yes, I said John. There is a new server coming. But really just kind of trying to fill out this fleet a little bit better, kind of cut our limits again of what we can allow, and make sure that you guys are getting the most top-notch performance that we can possibly give. Last on the list, and this is one that I would appreciate your guys' help in. I had a great conversation with a customer this morning, catching up and having a little bit back and forth, and just catching up invoices, catching up services you're not using. If you are a church hosting person who you're just watching this because you said, oh, I wonder what they're doing nowadays. I don't use my account anymore. If that is you, please let me know you're not using your account. We found a number of church hosting accounts on Fellowship as we were doing some minor cleanup, which were using anywhere from 6 to 10 gigs of storage. And in one case, the site never even launched, it appears. It's kind of sad. They utilize the resources, and at some point, after creating a whole bunch of free domains on a free domain provider that expires every 3 months or something, they just left, thus leaving me holding 6 gigs of storage in backups, etc., and it's kind of a bummer. And it's a big thing to take and do church hosting. I know some people think, oh, it's free, he's just throwing out accounts, yada yada. No, it costs money. It can be expensive, and I'm very grateful for those of you who guys have stepped in, kicked in even one-time donation. Some of you guys who are doing the stuff on Patreon, thank you so much. That is a blessing to me every month. For those of you who send the occasional donation, again, that helps. I mean, this is a labor of love. The labor of love does not translate to server companies say, oh, you're doing a labor of love, here's a free server. No, they still charge me full price. They don't even cut a discount. So this is my blessing to churches, and I would really appreciate that as I try to be a good steward of the resources we have and making sure that we do everything to keep churches online. I would ask that you would do the same in this audit process that's going to be coming up here in next month, most likely. I'm going to try to get it started towards the end of this month, but really just kind of going through and making sure accounts are what they're supposed to be. If they're doing little to nothing, reaching out. If you are not using it, I would just ask and just plead that you'd please let me know. Don't assume that not using it is going to get me a heads up. Because in that, I want to make sure that it's not. And the same thing with just normal hosting. If you are a paid customer and you've just been letting it run idle for 6 months, 7 months, you haven't been updating your scripts, you're just, it's not something, or whatever the case may be. I don't want you guys having to pay for something you're not actively using. Granted, yeah, I love getting paid. But at the same time, I want to be a good steward of as well what I'm offering to people and making sure that you guys are getting value from this. And I know that I'm a bargain host, and I've been labeled so many different ways over the years, but my thing is always wanting to provide a quality product to all of you. So if you're not actively using it and you're backing up bills and you're saying, oh, I'll pay that next month, I'll do this, just let me know. Again, it's not going to hurt my feelings. I would rather cancel your account and know that you're good than to just keep billing you, and then one day you show up and there's a $600 bill and you're like, whoa, what happened? So that is one thing I am working on, is that any account over 3 months will be suspended. Anything that's outdated, etc., you will get another reminder notice, and just really trying to fine-tune. Again, a lot that happens because I want to take and continue to grow things. I'm continuing trying to find ways to grow my business, trying to find ways to better support my family and just make things more sustainable long-term. So if you guys have any services, you have any questions, if you have anything that you're just trying to get your site even off the ground, reach out to me and let me know. I would love to be of service to you, but I can't. Something exists. So please reach out to me if you have some problems. I would love to help you out. And if you guys, as always, have anything that you need, do check out the communication page. I am around. I'm on live chat most days, and I am available to answer your questions. And again, it doesn't matter if you think it's the most ridiculous question and you don't want to bother me. Then something sit and be an issue, and it causes you to leave. I'd rather be able to say, oh, you got stuck on your WordPress install. Let's tune this up. Let's get this fixed. How do we make this go live for you? And I still want to take and produce some videos, and I'm working on maybe replacing this video setup because it's kind of laggy sometimes, has some issues here and there. But I want to make sure that you guys are going to have the tools you need to build, grow, and make a site that flourishes. So I've used up a lot of your time. Thank you guys for taking the time. I know it's not that much more, but again, these are quarterly. So December, there will be another one. And then we'll, again, every third month, we're going to take and put these out. That way it's not as a lot of trying to squish a whole bunch or a little bit or whatever and make shorter videos. So just stay tuned. If you like this format, if it works better for you, if you have any questions about anything I talked about, again, communicate page, hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, you name it. I'm pretty much everywhere. And I hope you guys are having a great month of September. I hope you guys are having a great wrapping up of this year. And I will talk to you guys here in a few months.